In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8, NIV. Have you noticed how night makes everything feel heavier? The house gets quiet. The distractions finally stop. And suddenly, what you managed to carry all day presses closer to your chest. You prayed. You tried to let it go, but it still feels like God has been quiet, and you're not sure what happens next. Tonight is for that moment. There is a specific kind of fatigue that shows up at night, not from doing too much, but from holding on too tightly. You replay conversations. You revisit decisions. You wonder if you missed something, delayed something, misunderstood something. And even though your body is ready to rest, your heart stays alert. This is where God meets you. Let me begin with something gentle and true. God does not stop working when you fall asleep. Your rest does not interrupt His care. Your silence does not pause His attention. Your exhaustion does not weaken His ability to protect you. The night does not belong to fear. It belongs to God. Think of a small, ordinary moment. You finally turn off the light. The room goes dark. You will lie still. Not because everything is resolved, but because you can't hold it anymore. That moment is not failure. That moment is surrender. And surrender is not giving up. It is placing weight back where it belongs. One of the quiet lies we carry into the night is this: if I stop thinking about it, something will go wrong. So we stay mentally alert, emotionally guarded, spiritually tense. But Scripture tells a different story. It says God does not sleep. It says He keeps watch. It says He guards what we cannot, which means you were never meant to stay awake protecting your life. Here is the core truth your heart needs tonight. God does His deepest work when you are finally still, not because you are inactive, but because you are no longer interfering with trust. While you sleep, He aligns, He protects, He restores. What feels like inactivity to you is faith in its purest form. Let's make this clear and simple. You do not rest because everything is safe. You rest because God is. You do not sleep because you solved the day. You sleep because you handed it over. Night prayer is not about saying the right words. It is about choosing not to carry what was never yours. So here is your action for this first part of the night. Stop guarding the outcome. You might whisper quietly, God, I trust you with what I can't watch over. Then let the darkness remain, not as emptiness, but as coverage. You are not unprotected in the quiet. You are being watched over more carefully than you realize. And tonight, God will take care of you while you sleep. The night has a way of asking questions the day never slows down enough to ask. Not loud questions, quiet ones. Questions like, who is holding this if I stop? What happens if I don't stay alert? Can God really be trusted with what I can't control? These questions are not signs of weak faith. They are signs you are human, and God is not offended by them. There is something deeply reassuring hidden in the rhythm of night. You didn't design it. You didn't plan it. And yet, it arrives every single day without your effort. Darkness falls. The world slows. Your body knows it's time to release. Night itself is a reminder. You are not required to manage everything all the time. Here is a truth many people resist before sleep. God's care is not reactive. It does not depend on your vigilance. You don't keep things from falling apart by staying anxious. You don't protect tomorrow by overthinking tonight. God's protection is constant, even when you are unconscious. Especially then, think about how a child sleeps. Not because everything is safe, but because someone trustworthy is near. They don't understand the locks. They don't know the plans for tomorrow. They don't calculate outcomes. They rest because they trust presence. That is the posture God invites you into tonight. Night prayer is not about asking God to start working. It is about remembering He never stopped. While you were busy today, He was present. While you were distracted, He was attentive. While you were tired, He was steady. And now, as you prepare to sleep, He remains. Here is where clarity settles in. You are not abandoning responsibility by resting. You are acknowledging limits. And limits are not a flaw into your design. They are proof you were never meant to be God. Rest is how you return things to their rightful owner. So tonight, let go of the need to monitor everything. You don't need to keep replaying scenarios. You don't need to stay mentally alert just in case. You don't need to guard outcomes with worry. God is already guarding you. Let this be your simple action for this moment. When a thought tries to pull you back into control, gently say, God is awake. I don't have to be. Then breathe. Let that truth quiet the urgency inside you. The night is not unsafe because it is dark. It is sacred because God is present in it. And as you lie there, letting your body grow heavy, remember this: nothing you stop holding tonight will be dropped by God. The night does something gentle but powerful when you finally stop resisting it. It reminds you that control has limits. During the day, effort gives the illusion of mastery. You plan, you adjust, you respond. But at night, effort reaches its boundary. You cannot fix tomorrow from your bed. You cannot protect everything by staying alert. You cannot think your way into peace. And that is not a problem. That is an invitation. There is a sacred exchange that happens in true night prayer. You release vigilance. God assumes watch. You release outcomes. God assumes care. You release strength. God supplies protection. This exchange is not symbolic. It is deeply real. Scripture speaks again and again of a God who keeps watch through the night, not as a distant observer, but as a present guardian. Here is a truth that settles anxious hearts. Nothing in your life is safer because you stayed awake worrying, but everything becomes lighter when you trust God enough to rest. Night prayer is not passive faith. It is courageous faith. It says, I believe God is working even when I am not. Think about how often God chose the night to move. While people slept, God formed. While minds rested, heaven aligned. While bodies were still, divine shifts took place. The night is not empty time. It is active space. Space where God works without interference. Space where grace moves quietly. Space where trust deepens. There is a reason your heart resists letting go before sleep. Letting go feels risky. But what if holding on is what's exhausting you? What if tonight's rest is not avoidance, but obedience? Here's the core insight for this moment. God does not need your awareness to work on your behalf. He does not need your monitoring. He does not need your anxiety. He does not need your backup plan. He needs your trust, and trust looks like rest. Let's make this practical. When the same thought loops again, the same concern, the same scenario, the same what if, do not fight it. Instead, gently hand it back. You might say quietly, God, this is yours to handle tonight. Then stop engaging, not because it doesn't matter, but because it matters enough to trust God with it. You may feel the urge to pick it back up. That's normal. Trust is practiced, not perfected. Each time you release it again, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle, the muscle of surrender. As your body grows heavier, let this truth anchor you. God's care does not clock out when you do. He guards your rest. He guards your home. He guards your tomorrow. You are not sleeping unprotected. You are resting under watch. As the night continues, something inside you begins to loosen. Not because all your concerns are gone, but because you are no longer gripping them as tightly. That shift is small to me, but it is sacred. There is a point in every night where the soul decides, will I stay tense or will I trust? Most people don't notice the choice. They just carry the tension into sleep. But tonight, you are noticing. And that awareness matters. Here is a quiet truth the night teaches. God's care does not depend on your effort. If it did, you would never be allowed to rest. The fact that God invites you to sleep is proof that He is capable of handling what you cannot. Let me say this gently. You are not responsible for keeping your life together tonight. You are not the guardian of tomorrow. You are not the manager of outcomes. You are not the keeper of every possibility. You are a child, and God is awake. Think of how often Scripture describes God as a watchman, not one who dozes off, not one who looks away, not one who needs relief. He sees the night clearly, which means you don't have to. Here is where logic becomes peace. If God is truly watching, then your worry adds nothing. If God is truly guarding, then your tension is unnecessary. If God is truly present, then your rest is safe. This is not denial. This is alignment. So tonight, do not ask yourself, have I done enough? Ask instead, have I trusted enough to rest? Because trust is not proven by effort. It is proven by release. Let your body participate in this truth. Unclench your jaw. Lower your lower your shoulders. Allow the bed to support you. These small physical acts are spiritual acts. They say, God, I believe you are holding what I let go. You may still hear the noise of thoughts. That's okay. Peace does not require silence in your mind. It requires surrender in your heart. Each time a thought rises, gently answer it with the same truth. Same truth. God is taking care of this tonight. As the night deepens, let yourself sink into this reality. Nothing is being neglected. Nothing is slipping through God's hands. Nothing is outside His awareness. You are not alone in the dark. You are watched over. As the night grows quieter, trust begins to feel less like a decision and more like a posture. You are no longer convincing yourself to let go. You are simply letting go. And that is how God intended it. There is a gentle relief that comes when you accept this truth. When you accept this truth, you do not need to stay alert to be faithful. Faith does not require vigilance. It requires willingness. Willingness to rest. Willingness to release. Willingness to believe that God's care is not fragile. Many people confuse responsibility with anxiety. They think that if they stop worrying, they stop caring. They stop caring. But worry is not proof of love. It is proof of fear. Love trusts. And tonight, trust is what you are practicing. Quietly, imperfectly, sincerely. Here is something the night teaches better than the day ever could. You are not the source of stability in your life. You participate. You contribute. You show up. But you are not the foundation. God is. And foundations do not need help holding weight. They simply hold. As your breathing slows, your body is learning something your mind already knows. It is safe to stop. Safe to close your eyes. Safe to release vigilance. Safe to be unaware for a few hours. God does not need your consciousness to protect you. There is a passage many people overlook in moments like this. It speaks of God giving sleep to those He loves. Not after they solve everything. Not after they prove their faith. But because they are loved. Sleep itself becomes a gift. Not a reward for productivity, but an expression of care. Let this truth settle deeply. God does not wait for you to rest before He begins working. He works while you rest. which means tonight is not wasted time. It is sacred time. Time where God rearranges what you cannot reach. Time where heaven moves quietly. Time where trust grows roots. You may still have moments where your mind drifts back to concern. That's okay. Each time it does, you are invited to practice again, not with frustration, with gentleness. You might say, I don't need to solve this tonight, and let that be enough. Notice how the pressure eases when you stop assigning yourself jobs you were never given. You were not asked to carry the future. You were not asked to guarantee outcomes. You were not asked to protect every possibility. You were asked to trust. And trust at night looks like rest. As the hours stretch on, let yourself feel the relief of not being in charge. There is freedom in admitting that someone wiser, stronger, and more loving than you is already handling what concerns you most. Freedom is not found in control. It is found in confidence. Confidence in God's character. Here is your action for this part of the night. Do nothing, not as avoidance, but as agreement. Agreement that God is sufficient. Agreement that rest is safe. Agreement that you can let go without losing anything that truly matters. You are not missing anything by resting. You are not falling behind. You are aligning yourself with how faith was always meant to function. Quietly, trustingly, in the dark. As the night settles even deeper, you may notice something quietly sacred happening. Your heart is no longer negotiating with rest. It is accepting it. Not because every concern disappeared, but because trust has taken its place. This is where night prayer matures. Earlier, you needed reminders. You needed reassurance. You needed words. Now you simply need presence. God has been near this whole time, and your soul is beginning to feel it without explanation. There is a calm that comes when you realize this. Nothing important is being delayed because you are resting. God's timing is not fragile. His plans are not dependent on your alertness. His care does not pause when you do. That understanding brings a different kind of peace. One that doesn't argue, doesn't rush, doesn't prove. It rests. Here is a truth worth carrying into this part of the night. You are safest when you stop trying to be your own protector. Protection was never meant to come from vigilance. It was always meant to come from God. And tonight, you are allowing that truth to become real, not just believed. Think of how often Scripture speaks of God as a shelter, not a warning system, not an emergency response. A shelter, a place you enter and stop scanning the horizon, a place where you don't brace, you settle. That is where you are now. You may still sense the edge of unfinished things, tasks, decisions, unanswered prayers. But notice how they no longer feel urgent. They can wait, not because they don't matter, but because God does. This is one of the quiet miracles of the night. Urgency loosens its grip. Fear loses volume. Trust grows heavier than worry. And slowly, your body follows what your spirit already knows. Let your breathing become slower than your thoughts. Let the bed carry your weight fully. Let yourself be supported, physically and spiritually. You were never meant to hold yourself up all the time. Here is your action for this moment. Stop checking inwardly. Stop asking, am I resting right? Am I trusting enough? Those questions belong to effort. You are no longer there. You are resting because you are held, not because you achieved it. As the night stretches on, remember this. God is not guarding you reluctantly. He is not watching with impatience. He delights in caring for you. His watch is steady. His presence is calm. His attention does not waver. You are not drifting into sleep unprotected. You are settling into rest under care, and that is exactly where you are meant to be. As the night moves toward its deepest firmly in place, something settles firmly in place. Not a thought, not an answer, a knowing, a quiet certainty that you are not alone in this rest. You may not be fully asleep yet, but you are no longer guarding the night. The tension that once kept you alert has softened. The urgency that once demanded attention has loosened. This is not because tomorrow disappeared. It is because trust took the lead. There is a sacred humility in letting God work without supervision. It says, I believe you are competent. I believe you are attentive. I believe you care more deeply than I ever could. That belief is not loud. It is steady. Many people think faith is proven in moments of action, but some of the truest faith is revealed in moments of rest. When you stop monitoring, when you stop rehearsing, when you stop preparing for every possible outcome, and instead, you allow yourself to be carried. Here is a truth that holds strong through the night. God does not protect you because you asked correctly. He protects you because He loves faithfully. His care is not fragile. It does not depend on your emotional state. It does not weaken when you grow quiet. It remains. As your breathing deepens, let your body receive what your soul has already accepted. You are safe enough to rest, not because the world is predictable, but because God is. The scriptures speak of angels guarding, of divine watchfulness, of a presence that does not retreat when darkness falls. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is reassurance for moments exactly like this, when human awareness fades, but God's attention does not. Which means this night is not empty, it is watched. You do not need to imagine protection. You are within it. You do not need to summon peace. It is already surrounding you. If a final thought drifts through your mind, let it be this: God is taking care of me, not as a declaration you push out, as a truth you rest into. You are allowed to sleep deeply tonight, not lightly, not cautiously, deeply, because nothing about your life is unattended. Let the night finish its work. Let rest complete what trust began. You do not need to stay awake to be faithful. God is here, and He will not leave. As the night reaches its final stillness, there is nothing left to release, nothing left to decide, nothing left to carry. Only trust, settled, quiet, unforced. You have done the most faithful thing you could do tonight. You stopped striving. You stopped guarding. You allowed yourself to be small in the care of a very present God. That is not weakness. That is rest shaped by faith. Here is the truth that closes this night. God has been working while you let go, not anxiously, not hurried, but faithfully. He has watched over what you could not. He has held what you released. He has guarded what matters most. You did not need to see it. You did not need to feel it. It was never dependent on you. The night was not empty. It was full of quiet care, full of unseen protection, full of steady love. And now it is enough. So let this be the final movement of your heart. Not a long prayer, not a request, not even words, just a whisper that feels like breathing. God, I trust you. Nothing more needs to be said. Sleep can come now. God is here,